Hey y'all, it's Allison from Main Street Flamingo, and I'm super excited about today's vlog. I have a super fun and super cute, exciting Halloween DIY all from the Dollar Tree. Everything in this video you see is from the Dollar Tree except for the mason jar and the little black ribbon that is tied around the mason jar. But everything else was purchased at the Dollar Tree and I crafted it myself. So if you would like to see how I do this and how you can get this look, keep watching. First, you will need to take 2 of these faux chalkboards and some Waverly Antique Wax to get started. I purchased both of these chalkboards in the craft section of the Dollar Tree. Now, you're only going to want to use just a little bit of this because we're not heavily painting it. We're more just like staining it. Now, you could keep it plain if you don't want to stain it. That's totally up to you. Once you get your paint poured onto your plate, you're going to take a paper towel, a napkin, whatever you want to use. Mine was just a little bit damp. And you want to stick it into the paint and kind of blot it off. Because like I said, we're not heavily painting it. We're just kind of staining it. Now, a little dab of this paint will do you. I poured out a little too much on this. But mine is a little bit kind of older. And when I poured it, it was more like a glob came out. So anyway, you will want to work this all the way around the frame. You can do front and back. I just did the front and the sides and on the insides. And I call these faux chalkboards because the blackboard part is not really like a blackboard. I don't think you could write on it with actual chalk. You could write on it with a chalk pen, but actual chalk will not work, I don't think. I have not tried it yet, so if I try it, I'll definitely let you know. But I didn't use a chalk pen. You can purchase those at the Dollar Tree. I just went ahead and cut mine out of vinyl using my Cricut that I already had at my house. So now, once we get that all completed, you can see the difference in what it looks like. And I mean, that looks like a $5 faux blackboard, you know. Okay, second, we're going to move on to the Rae Dunn inspired cups. I purchased these at the Dollar Tree. They had 2 different kinds of white mugs. Any white mug will do. You could use black, but I really like these that had the rim at the top. So you want to make sure you clean off your cup surface first. Then I'm going to take my vinyl and I am weeding it. I'm showing you the weeding process. It's a little bit tedious, so I do speed this up a little bit to get it going because, like I said, it's a little tedious. And for such a small word, and I only really had to weed 4 things, it took me forever to get it done. So as I finish weeding this, you're going to want to have some contact paper. You can buy this in the roll. I have this already. Some people I know use the strong press and seal from Glad, and that works for some people. I had this, so I just used what I had on hand, and I cut this little square out, but I reuse this several times. I reuse my contact paper several times. It can be reused. So anyway, you want to peel it off, and you want to peel the back off. Make sure that the word sticks onto the paper. And we are now going to transfer the word onto the cup. So I'm eyeballing this. I really didn't measure it. I'm usually pretty good at getting it centered. So you want to just press it down and take your little scraper. You can take a credit card. You can take any kind of hard surface, you know, to make sure it gets stuck down real well. And then you just peel away your contact paper. And there you go. There's the first Rae Dunn inspired mug. Now I've got the second mug I'm going to do. I'm speeding this up. I've already weeded my word, and there I am reusing my contact paper again. Just making sure it gets stuck down really good because you don't want to pull it off and then the word, you have some letters that stick on and some don't. That makes it really difficult when you have to lay it back down and do it again. So we cleaned this surface already, and as you can see with me putting this one, I had to lay it down several times because for some reason, I was wonky today. I could not get it straight. So, but I finally get it down and get it straight. Press it down. use your tool or your card, whatever you have, fingers. Sometimes I go back over it with my fingers. And then there's the second mug. And now we have our set of Rae Dunn inspired mugs that we will be using. All right, now that our faux chalkboards have dried, we are going to move on to putting the chalkboard words, which really are vinyl. I have weeded these already, and I have my contact paper. I had to get a bigger piece for these because they were a little bit larger. So I am just scraping this down and making sure that it sticks to the contact paper really well, because this is a bigger one, so you have a larger surface area you have to make sure gets stuck onto the contact paper. Like I said, you don't want to make a mistake with that contact paper, because you don't want to pull it off and then some of it comes off and some of it doesn't. So anyway, now we are ready to lay it down on our faux chalkboard. Once I lay my vinyl down on this, I'm going to want to try to make sure I get it centered on the first try because of the material. I don't really know how to describe the material that this blackboard part is made out of, but it is like porous, I guess you could say. So the vinyl does not adhere to it extremely well. So I had to make sure that I did not want to move this around too very much, or it would make it real crazy. And you can tell by how slow and how like I keep having to go back. You can tell by how slow I'm pulling back the contact paper. It's not like some of the smaller edges are not totally laying down good enough, and I have to keep pulling it back up and rubbing it down so that it will stick and it will stay that way. I'm speeding this up a bit because it does take me a little minute to get this going and get it laid down to where it would stick really well. So you're just going to want to go slow, and it will take you a minute. Just kind of go slow and pull it back just slowly like I did. And you may have to keep lifting it up and using your scraper or your finger to help it lay down. Once I got the contact paper removed, I just went back over it with my finger since I didn't feel like it was gripping very strongly. So there it is. There's the finished product on that one. And now here comes the second one that is basically, I'm doing the same thing. I've already weeded it. I've got my square, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you now, because this has some tiny letters and some tiny cutouts. It was a lot harder to get this actually to stick onto the faux blackboard part. It was a lot harder than the first one, the first chalkboard sign that I just made with Witch's Brew. It was much more harder, and as you can see, it kind of took me a little bit longer to get it stuck down on the contact paper. So once we get that peeled away, we want to make sure, you know, it's good and centered. Like I said, you want to get it right the first time if you can, because you don't want to mess with it very much due to the fact that it doesn't adhere to that faux blackboard material very well. Now I'm going to speed this part up so that you can see. Like I said, it's basically like I did before, but since there were some smaller, thinner lines like the small October and the little spider and the little spider web, those gave me a little bit of a tough time, but we survived. And you know, at the end, we're going to have a really, really super cute sign out of this. Once we get the contact paper removed, you just want to take your finger, like I did earlier, go back over it, press it down. You want to be careful sliding it because you don't want to slide the vinyl. And now we have our super cute Halloween faux chalkboard sign. That's 31 in October. I was real into those dates and numbers this year. So here they are, these super cute and super easy Halloween DIY Dollar Tree signs. And for our final craft today, we have this skeleton wood cutout that was purchased from the Dollar Tree. It was in the Halloween section. It came raw, which means it was just like plain wood, and I've already painted it with some Waverly White chalk paint. And now I'm laying down my 3 different kinds of ribbon. You can put 1 piece, 2 pieces, 3 pieces, however you want to do it. All of this ribbon was purchased from the Dollar Tree. And I decided that for my bow, I did not want a huge bow. Usually I like big bows on my projects. I like big bows and I cannot lie. But anyway, so this one I knew it would overtake the project, and I did not want that. So what I do is I laid those down, I folded it in the middle, and I took a rubber band, a small like hair rubber band. You can buy those in a pack at the Dollar Tree, or anytime you may purchase something and it has rubber bands around it. I always save them because I never know, if I'm going to need them or not. So it's very simple to do your bows using these rubber bands. Sometimes I use zip ties depending on how big or heavy the bow is. Okay, now that we have the rubber band around the bow, I just have to work with it a little bit. Sometimes I may, when I put it on initially, the rubber band, it may be uneven. So I am working with it and also working with the wires to get it straightened and puffed out, all that good stuff. So now that we have that all completed, now you are going to want to get some jute twine. You can get this at the Dollar Tree. Mine came from Harbor Freight. I had it left over from my oldest daughter's wedding. And you just want to wrap it around and cover up the rubber band. So once we have that on, I just take it and I snip a good little, I leave a little bit of length on the back and snip that off with my scissors, and then I tie it in a knot to get it good and tight. Because, you can glue it or however, but usually when I tend to do that, I always burn myself. Oh, Lord, I'm just dropping the bow everywhere. Now that I've got it good and tight, I'm just going to take my scissors and snip off the excess. Now that we've got the bow how we like it, we are ready to add it to our skeleton cutout. You can use any kind of glue, obviously, but I just use my hot glue. And I put a real good dab of hot glue on the back of the bow, and then I just hold it down in place until it dries. And that's usually like a minute or 2, because I like mine, when I put it down, I want it exactly where I want it. So, I don't want the glue moving around and the bow shifting. So I try to hold it down until I get it set, until it starts to set and harden. And now that the glue has dried on the bow, we have our finished skeleton craft that we will be adding to the top of our tiered tray. There it is. It's just adorable. Thank you so much for watching today. Please like this video and subscribe. And also, if you recreate this look or you just come up with your own look, please tag Main Street Flamingo. My information is listed in the description. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you always keep life magical.